Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I bring you the Richie and Hazz Show. It's just me today, folks. Richie had something to do, and Steven had another conflict with his kids. But I'm joined by a personal friend and all-around great. Can I call you a redneck? Is that fair? Is that a safe assessment?
I have no animosity toward being called a redneck.
Bob Wedgeworth. Bob, thank you for coming to the show.
I appreciate it.
For people who do not know, sir, give us a little intro of your background. Besides, are you protesting COVID by not having a haircut?
No, actually, I was growing my hair out for a purpose, which actually I was doing the Kids for Cancer. I've never had a job where I could grow my hair out. So when I retired a couple of years ago, I decided to grow it out. Then the COVID struck, so now I'm stuck growing my hair out. So didn't quite turn out like I planned, but...
So our listeners and viewers who do not know you, give us a little professional background, sir.
Well, I'd have to say a lifelong resident of Rankin County.
Okay.
I grew up there, stayed there almost all my life, 3 years, 7 months in the Marine Corps, traveling the world.
Not an ex-Marine.
Not an ex-Marine.
Not a former Marine.
Not a former Marine.
Always a Marine.
Always a Marine.
Okay.
Came back, worked several jobs, got on with the fire department, worked at the fire department for about 20 years. I was a instructor at the State Fire Academy, went on to become the Director of Emergency Operations for Rankin County. Worked with veterans groups. I'm currently the district commander of the VFW. I run a sober living house, a Christian sober living house, and I'm a recovering politician, having been once alderman. I hate to tell people that, but yes, a recovering politician.
Okay, now that today is Sunday, it's November 1st. The election is Tuesday.
Yes.
Who is going to win give me a prediction.
On which one? I think this is the ultimate toss-up. Are you talking about
the presidential?
Oh,
yes, of course, national. Okay, wait. When I say election, you say which one. What comes to your mind? To me, okay, let's eliminate the lower ones, okay? When I say election Tuesday, what comes to your mind?
Well, the biggest impact, I think, naturally, and everybody comes to mind, is the president.
Okay.
But either way that goes,
we're going to save that one.
Okay.
Okay. You said which one? Whether the other? Are you talking about
the next biggest one's got to be the Senate?
Okay. In your mind, does SB have a chance to win?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close to being a toss-up.
Now, none of the national polls see it that way. They had Hyde-Smith winning by 5 points, maybe even 10 points, depending on the polls and the polling. Why do you see it as a toss-up?
That could be true. I mean, I'm not a pollster, and I don't know where they're getting their data, but I can tell you just from the people I'm talking to, I would say, and I've met Cindy Hyde-Smith. I don't know a whole lot about her record, but there's just not a lot of energy that I could tell that's behind Cindy Hyde-Smith.
What has been the greatest accomplishment, in your opinion, for Senator Hyde-Smith?
Good question. And I don't know.
I would say
there's my point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, her being the first female senator is a major accomplishment for the state.
Right.
And two, she had the, front row of the hanging comment that was during an election.
Right.
But everybody has a snafu during elections. But I mean, she's avoided major scandal.
Correct.
And I would say, and I'm not a major Republican, she has voted along conservative party lines. Right. I would say, to me, those were her strengths.
Yeah.
And her weaknesses, I just don't think, I haven't felt a connection with her.
Well, when you say the strengths, I mean, you got to have something at some point in your political career to hang your hat on, whether it's building a police station, whether it's building a fire station, paving the roads, something. And she, as of yet, in my mind, hasn't had that, hey, listen, this is what I've gotten accomplished.
Well, to be fair, she has only been in there for 2 years.
Well, that's true.
So, I mean, it would be interesting. Let's go with Mike Espy. What do you think his strengths are?
I'm not sure he has any. Other than, and this is my perspective.
Okay.
I've met him also. Like him, seems like a nice guy. I think it took a lot away from him. I think he should have ran on his record instead of trying to tear somebody else down, or the negative. I don't think the negative works against Cindy Hyde Smith. To me, I think Mike Espy should have came out and said, "Hey, this is what I can do. This is what I will do. This is what I have done." This is a guy that has some sort of a record as a congressman.
Yes.
Well, why doesn't he say, "Hey, this is what I did," instead of giving the vague, I've helped pass bills. Well, hey, tell me what you've done. Tell me exactly what you've done.
I would say this, though. To me, his greatest strength is he seems like he would be a senator. Now, like I said,
Right.
with Senator Hyde Smith, sometimes she doesn't come across as smooth as a Thad Cochran or as a
Right.
Trent Lott or as
Yeah.
a Mike or even Roger Wicker.
Yeah.
Now, maybe there's a little sexism there from me that I don't subconsciously, I don't know, but she doesn't seem to command the room. Now, I have
Right.
not been in the room with her,
Right.
but I would also say I know the ESPYs a little bit. I think Mike's greatest strength is his nephew, Chris.
Yeah.
I know Chris ESPY very well. I think behind the scenes, he has a lot of great people working for him.
Well, I think, there is a contrast there. You see a polished politician that is known and has done this for years versus somebody that's, I think, a relatively newcomer
Yes.
to politics who is unpolished and not always completely aware that anything that she says is probably going to be recorded and used at some point.
Yes. I mean, I think that's what happened on the earlier quote we were
Yeah.
talking about. And for whatever negatives Mike has, would you agree with me going from congressman to secretary of agriculture is a huge politician or accomplishment in the
yeah.
world of politics?
Oh, yeah. I would think, when you're talking about getting into a cabinet position, you're talking about getting into the inner circle.
Correct.
To me.
Some of that was helped out
That's-
because at one point Arkansas and Mississippi campaigned together.
Right.
So supposedly him and Clinton had some sort of connection. But I mean, still a major accomplishment.
Well, I mean, most things are about connections.
Correct.
And I mean, especially when you get into business connections, political connections, it all helps.
Wednesday, who's our U.S. Senator?
Probably Cindy Hyde Smith,
What's the margin?
2%.
I'm going to say 5% Cindy Hyde Smith. Is there any other elections in Rankin County that I'm not aware of? I'm trying to go through my mind. Any major ones? You have the Supreme Court.
All the election commissioners, the Supreme Court, and the congressman.
Okay.
So-
Now let's get into the Supreme Court before. Now wait, Congressman, you're saying Michael Guest is running?
I think he's running again. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm almost positive. Yeah.
I don't even know who
But
his
I don't-
opponent is.
I don't even know if he has one.
Now, Michael Guest, District Attorney of Rankin and Madison County. I know him personally. Great guy. I would think he'd win in a
Oh, yeah.
landslide.
I'm thinking, I'm thinking hands down easy. And
Let's go to the Supreme Court race. Justice Kenny Griffiths, who was appointed on the Supreme Court when Chief Justice Waller retired to run for governor, against a Court of Appeals Judge Westbrook. Do you have a prediction there?
I'm thinking Kenny's very well liked, and I'm thinking Kenny's going to take that by probably 10-12%.
Judge Latrice Westbrook. And I
Yes.
know both of them.
Yeah.
I know Judge Westbrook from when she was working with the city of Jackson when I was a prosecutor.
Yeah.
I like Judge Westbrook. I think she's done a great job. But right now, it's good voter turnout.
Voter turnout.
It's going to be huge. In that district, it goes up from Hines, Madison, some of Rankin, and then up to the Delta. If she gets a good turnout from the Delta, I think she wins. But right now, it seems like a lot of Mississippian voters are energized to go out and vote for the president.
Right.
So I'm hoping Judge Westbrook wins, but I do believe I'm predicting Justice Griffiths is going to retain his seat.
Yeah, and again, I think it's going to come back to connections. I think Kenny's very well connected across the state. I don't know that there's any animosity towards him. I hadn't heard anybody say anything, hey, Kenny Griffiths, like other politicians.
No scandals, no hiccups, not even a misquote like we were talking about in the senator. No
I mean,
issues.
I don't know what you're going to.
There's nothing there,
there's
really.
nothing there that there's no gotchas that I know of that's going to hit Kenny.
Now, I would say this with same thing with Judge Westbrook. I mean, you're not going to get a lot of gotchas with two sitting judges or justices. Right. So, I mean, they've been very well vetted. I think they've represented the state, but I think on demographics, and us being a red state, I would say Justice Griffiths retains. Now, the big one. Who's going to be our next president?
What day? What week are you talking about? At the end?
At the end of the election?
At the end of the election day, or at the end of when the final votes are counted? Because I think there's a lot of people gearing up, and several states are gearing towards, delaying, the voter count.
You're seeing something of 2000 Gore versus Bush.
Yeah, I am seeing it. Well, and I'll give you a prime example. The other day, I forgot what day, but it was this week. The governor of Pennsylvania, before the riot started, he was talking about, there's 1.8 million voters that have voted absentee ballots or whatever they call them in Pennsylvania. 1.8 million, he said, and they're heavily for Joe Biden. Well, how does he know they're heavily for Joe Biden? I mean, but this is the governor of the state making that state. I mean, what
concerns you?
Yeah, how do you know they're for Biden?
Now, the only two people who predicted a Trump victory last time, one I do believe is a professor. Well, I say the major pollsters who got it right last time. One was a guy who does a pure mathematical equation. It's about energy, and I would have to agree that Biden was not the Democratic savior first choice. I mean, he was just the guy who won.
Right.
It could have been Bernie. It could have been Elizabeth Warren. Yeah. You just, especially before South Carolina, Biden didn't have a lot of energy.
I just can't. I find it hard to believe. And this from a guy. Now I'm a staunch independent now. I'm the most right wing liberal I know. But what I'm saying is, it's just hard for me to believe that that's the best that the Democrats can come up with.
I think it was the most electable.
I just don't get it.
Well, no, you would think Kamala Harris, or Corey, if you were picking out a candidate to go against a 74-year-old Donald Trump, you would want a minority. You would want someone photogenic. You would want someone energetic.
Right.
You would want someone, and it kind of concerns me. Of course, I don't think VPs matter, but it would concern me why VP Harris or someone like Booker could not beat Bernie, could not beat Elizabeth Warren, could not beat Joe Biden.
Yeah.
You would want. Well, okay, let me stop you here. Past 4 years, are you better off before COVID? Let's be fair.
Yeah.
In the Trump administration.
Yes.
Okay. Or what are you basing that on? Economics?
Yes. Strictly on economics.
How about anything else?
Nope.
Were you better or just don't consider anything else?
Well, I'm not really consider. I mean, before I was working for the government, a government agency, I didn't really concern myself, policy-wise on, a lot of things. I kind of tried to stay in my lane. When I got out and started my own businesses up and started working out there, there was a lot of, under the Obama administration, just a lot of paperwork that was generated. And I saw it when I was working in the government, actually doing grants. It changed from, and I'm not a big fan of former President Bush, but the system when we started doing applications for, let's say, a rural fire department, under George W. Bush, all I had to do was say, hey, this is how many square feet we need. We're going to build a fire station. They would say, great. When it changed to the Obama administration, not only did we have to show, when we put in a grant for an application, you had to show an engineering design on how much of your building is going to be lighted by sunlight. What is the lifespan of the building materials of your building? So you're going to have to hire an engineer just to draw up a request for a just to do the draft to get a grant. Not saying that you're going to get it. So that was just totally ridiculous. Now, I don't know how they are now because I hadn't done them, but, I just know from the fact that, bureaucratically, it just doubled when the Obama-Biden administration got in, and that's just ridiculous.
Take me to a place when you said, how long were you in local politics or a local government employee?
Well, 12 years as an alderman, 3 terms in Richland.
Okay.
And I worked, worked my way up from on the fire department. I started here in Ridgeland, went to Richland, and I started teaching at the fire academy. And then when I went into as the director of emergency operations, I worked there for 10 years. So 36 years total in state, civic, federal government, all that.
Okay, and to be fair, I've been an assistant county prosecutor for Hinds County. I've also been a special assistant attorney general for a contractual basis on some projects. So I'm a mix too. But do you see an issue with you being a government employee but voting for a conservative ticket?
No.
Okay.
No. And one of the reasons, and to be quite honest, I was never really a Trump fan.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
But what I am a fan of, he's outside the political norm.
There's no doubt about that.
And, he's not polished. He's a businessman.
Okay.
And I'm a firm believer, and if I had my way and I was made king, it would be like 8 years, and then you go back to whatever you were doing.
Yes.
You wouldn't have your kingdom. You wouldn't build your kingdom in the government. That's another regardless of what Joe Biden says. Hey, buddy, you've been in there 50 years.
No, you're talking about 8 years in general, or you're talking about 8 years? You have 8 years.
You got 8 years to do your thing.
Okay.
And you're gone. If
Okay.
you want to be a congressman for 8 years. But I like the fact that he's a businessman, plain and simple. I think we've been needing businessmen up there for years, because it's just, and I'll give you an example, and this is breaking it down on my side from what I saw, and it's just multiplied the higher you go up.
Okay.
So on the city side, you've always got these politicians that say, "Oh, I understand. I'm with you, and I feel that." No, you really don't know what's going on. You claim that you do, but you really don't. When you talk about, that patrolman and you understand, or the dispatcher, I understand how you feel. No, you don't, because you've never been there. You're absolutely, lying to everybody. And, when you have an employee that cannot function, the smaller you get in government, or in some cases larger, those connections come back to play. Mm-hmm. So, and we see that, I've seen it a lot. Even when I was teaching out at the fire academy, you got a guy that really can't cut the mustard, but, you wonder how he got that job. Well, he got the job because he's connected to somebody.
Somebody's cousin.
Somebody's cousin.
Okay.
And, in this high time, and I had this argument when I was an alderman. I don't know why we would keep somebody that can't function at the highest level. The public deserves to have somebody in these positions that functions at the highest level. He may be a great guy. His family may be a great family. But this guy can't function at whatever position he's in, and he should be replaced.
But see, to me, that's the major criticism. My family was Republican. I'm a Democrat right now because basically my profession.
Right.
But the main criticism I have for Democrats is they can't give everybody an entitlement.
Right.
The main concern I have with a conservative, the Republicans, they want me to live the conservative lifestyle, right, but they themselves never live that. And
right,
to me, it comes down to Trump and his family.
Right.
If my dad was elected, he would have me on the payroll, but I would be the guy over there, his eyes and ears.
Right.
But if he would tell me, if you get in front of a mic, I'll kill you.
Right.
And, I would call him and say, Bob's screwing this up. You need to call Bob.
Yeah.
Bob made everybody in Sweden angry.
Right.
But I would not be Jared. I would not be Ivanka. And my dad would be like, you haven't earned that right yet.
Yeah.
Do you not see an issue there?
Yeah, I could see an issue there.
Okay. So back to the business concept. My problem with saying we need a businessman there, to me, a businessman is price earnings ratio. and you're not going to look long term into investments.
Right.
And you wouldn't as a business. I'm not going to worry about 100 years from now, things like that. I do believe one of the biggest problems we have right now is conservatives aren't conservative, meaning they don't stay within their budgets.
Yeah.
And they're not cutting budgets. I'm not a big fan of Haley Barbour's, but he balanced the state budget, or he did as close as we've had since then. And he was cutting things, but he was unilaterally cutting.
Yeah.
I don't see that with the current president. And let me be fair with President Trump. I do believe that first of all, he's very charismatic. You can't help but, two, in a PC world, it is refreshing for someone just to say what's ever on their mind. I don't think he has a filter, which is a detriment to it.
Yeah.
Three, I do believe he is taking care of a lot of friends and associates. Now, that's the perception of Jared Kushner and his daughter being there and everybody being on payroll. But I also think he sees everything as a business opportunity.
Yeah.
And also, I think he's Cliff Notes the presidency. I think it hasn't aged him like it has the other people, because I think a lot of people are overwhelmed. I think it's a double-edged sword with Trump. His ego is why he's successful. I mean, he's almost willed his way.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah. But I think he's got to a point where I can watch Fox News, and it's gonna be a very philosophical campaign election results, because he's almost said, I don't care about the swing vote. I'm gonna get my, he's basically said, let me go against you, and I like my choices. I like my chances.
Yeah.
As long as I get in a race
Yeah.
and be honest to my core, I'm not even going to throw y'all, I'm not going to let y'all have the win. I'm not going to go to the press secretary event, or not the press
Breakfast, yeah.
Whatever the dinner they have, the president, correspondence dinner.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to draw my line in the sand. And you're either for us or against us. I do believe a great man told me, my enemies are in front of us and my friends are behind
That's
me.
correct.
That
Everybody in front of us is the enemy.
Exactly. And I mean, he sees that.
Yeah.
And I think part of the struggle that he has is, you're not talking about a publicly traded businessman.
Right.
You're talking about a private, family owned, I say it happens.
Yeah.
And I think that's caused a lot of issues. In my mind, the whole Russian thing, I can see some Secret Service man telling him, you can't do this. You can't do this. And he's like, yeah. And just going full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Now, I think he's been cleared of collusion, but I think there was some, obstruction there. Now, whether it was him or some of the underlings, his biggest weakness to me is the people he's appointed that either he's turned on or they've turned on him. Yeah. But majority of it, he's turned on and got rid of them. I don't like the turnover. I don't like the tweets.
Right.
The civil unrest, I think he's a result of it. I don't think he causes it. I don't think he helps it. But I think we're now into an instant gratification. We're important. I mean, we're filming a podcast, to be fair. Well, I am. I think we just put too much value on just being, I'm going to treat you like I want to be treated. But I think I can't put that all on him, because I think that's our society.
Yeah. Well, and I can tell you, when I say businessman,
okay,
and this is what really, this struck me like 40 years ago. You remember Lee Iacocca?
Yeah.
You heard the name Lee Iacocca?
Yeah, Chevrolet.
Dodge.
Yeah.
Chrysler.
Yeah, Chrysler. Save Chrysler.
Yeah, save Chrysler. Years ago, like 40-something years ago, 35, 40, I don't know exact date, in there somewhere, I saw Lee Iacocca on Johnny Carson. And Johnny Carson, he'd just said, bought Chrysler out, was repaying the loans and all this. And Johnny Carson said, well, why don't you run for office? Why can't you be the president? And he said, oh, they'd never elect a businessman. And this stuck in my mind. And he said, Johnny Carson said, why? He said, the first thing I'd do, he said, I'd cut the taxes to 10%, 10% for everybody, no tax breaks. And he said, well, that sounds fair enough. He said, but yeah, how many people do you think in the IRS would get pissed off if I did that? So in my mind, and he talked about several other things, but I see that now more clearly with Trump in fighting, what he calls the swamp, but, what I call bureaucrats. I mean, if you're going to try to simplify something, it's going to be hard to do. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. At the beginning of after World War I, Major General Smedley Butler with the Marine Corps testified in Congress. He overturned a what was going to be an attempted coup. And this goes back to little obscure Marine Corps history. And he testified about, war is a racket. How many millionaires are we making, to fight a war?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you there's money to be made, but that's just one small part
We've
of it.
never invaded Africa.
No.
Because there's no major
no,
oil deposits.
No
there's no
but
drugs.
I mean, when you're launching a missile at $1 million, why not send 26 over there and take out their airplanes? Well, that's somebody's fixing to build some more missiles. Those guys are making money.
Yeah.
They're going to make money whether it's Republican or Democrat.
Well, you could say the same thing about the banking industry.
Yeah.
I do believe one of the true
Absolutely.
criticisms of Obama is that he didn't go get 100 bankers from every one of those investment banks,
Yeah.
Lehman Brothers,
Yeah.
whoever.
And put somebody in jail like they did in Iceland.
Correct. Yeah.
When this happened in Iceland, when the banking crisis happened in Iceland in the 90s, guess where the bankers went?
Into jail.
Right.
Because and the theory well, let me go ahead and say this is another problem I have with the Republicans. When you're talking about bailing people out, if you bail out the upper percentage, well, we need to because they're job makers, job creators. If you bail out the lower people, what they'll do is reward bad behavior.
Right.
And you're sitting there like, so how much money do I have to make before I can get rewarded for my bad behavior? But now let me say this. Aren't you a little disappointed Trump didn't take his tax game? Now, I know Trump didn't pay any taxes. I don't have a problem with it. That's the name of the game.
Right.
I would have loved to seen a president say, we need to get down this loophole, so I pay this. Let's get 10% down. I do believe, there was a guy named Hall who talked about flat tax, but he said a flat tax is very important, but closing every loophole is very important.
Closing the loophole.
Yes.
I'd be behind, any president that could actually get it done.
Okay.
But once again, him making a recommendation, whether it's Trump or Biden, that don't mean it's going to be a law.
No. The biggest problem you have with the flat tax.
You're still fixing to have a fight in Congress who, these people become multimillionaires.
What's the tax?
Magically, did they get that much smarter when they go to Congress? Do they get that much smarter when they go to the Senate?
It's the CPA. It's the CPA lobbyists that you're really fighting, and the tax attorney lobbyists.
Right.
And you don't want to lose those Cook Island loopholes or the Caribbean bank loopholes, and you don't want to do all that offshore.
The Belize Bank.
You don't want to lose all that. Now, okay. Pandemic hits. So you were better off as an attorney. Was I better off with Trump 4 years ago? See, he's appointed a lot of federal judges, and I applaud him appointing judges. And I know there's some back and forth whether Obama was his fault for leaving so many openings, or was it the Republican Senate, Mitch McConnell, should get credit for that. I would have liked to see Obama appointed 100 of them and say, now it's on you.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because there was so much state tort reform and conservative justices on the court. Right now, our court is 7-2 conservative. The economy was going well.
And you've been overwhelmed by the number of doctors that have moved in, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And how much did your insurance rate go down?
Exactly. Don't even get me started on that.
Because I was anticipating,
a refund.
There would never be the second waiting room at a doctor's office where you go from waiting room 1 to waiting room 2, because we have tort reform now. Oh, by the way, my insurance rate has not declined.
Well, the thing about it is, it wasn't the normal litigation that brought all that in. I'm going off on a little business for myself. It was the $150 million verdicts.
Yeah.
It was the Connecticut lawsuits that they were bringing to Fayetteville Homes. They got rid of that the first day.
Right.
The conservatives took over our court. It's now 7-2, and they're still trying to be. They're out. My problem with one of the conservatives, and it's also with the tax guy. I forgot who made you sign a pledge that you will not vote for an increase of taxes. And then they said, well, if you vote down a tax cut, that's like voting for an increase of taxes. And you're like, no, it's to me, the Chamber of Commerce is never enough.
Right.
Because they have price earnings issues and they always want to control the world more. But let's go into COVID. But let me be fair. I can't say I was better. I probably was worse just from a professional standpoint, philosophically, because of the judges being appointed. But I did not feel a difference between Obama and Trump economically.
Right.
Socially, I think I would worse because I think he does spur some. Like, I don't even know who the Proud Boys were. And I think, he knows what he's doing. And
I still don't know who the Proud Boys are.
it's a form of a white supremacist. But I think what he does is he's a master marketer.
Yeah.
And he knows how to approach something and back off. And he knows how to energize his base. And he's throwing out red meat. Used to be Reagan or Bush or someone like that would never mention God, but they would use code words like, the glowing city or the beautiful city, but they'd be, guided by a supreme, they wouldn't say it as blunt. So they could have some deniability, but we know what he's talking about. He's talking about God and Jesus. And Trump is so much blunt. I just think some of that is like I said, no one cares about having manners anymore. Every kindness is perceived as weakness. So on that level, socially, I would say I was worse. But then in a TikTok world, have you seen people make TikToks anymore? I mean, currently, have you seen these TikTok generations? I mean, kids are saying things to parents while I'm looking at them like, why are you not slapping your kid?
Right.
And they're laughing about it
Yeah.
and getting candy. And I do believe you do need some class. You do need some. You can't you can't use profanity. I love profanity, but I don't need my president using it on the open mic.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So I would say those levels. But okay, back to COVID.
I've been trained to use profanity. I'm quite efficient.
Oh, I mean, it's one of my vices. It's one of, we were having a conversation where they can beat me
I hope
out
I can make it through this one.
Oh, yeah. No, they'll beep us out. But, I mean, it's amazing. You and I will cuss right off the mics, but when the mic comes on in front of a jury, I just stop because that's the way I was trained.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about at home. COVID. How would you say Trump has handled COVID?
I think probably as good as anybody could. Because when this all got started, and I still remember, this is February, when they first started having meetings and talking about it and this and that, and I still remember the Speaker of the House was talking about how racist he was because, it's going to negatively impact, Chinatown?
China, cutting down, calling it the China virus.
And I was thinking, well, you can't really go back and say, what you would do. I mean, whichever way you went, I think there's going to be a problem. I mean, what do you do? I mean, this is nothing that hasn't happened or that has never happened before. So unless you've actually dealt with a pandemic, and me personally and professionally, based on the training I've had, with, chemical warfare and so forth, I think a lot of things that we're doing now probably not going to work, or don't work, or not effective.
Do you think we should have locked down earlier?
Yes.
Okay.
And it would have got a lot of heat from it, but I think, it would have been a good idea. But I think he was probably politically told, no, we can't do that because everybody would be in the, we'll be hated.
Letter grade, what do you give the president on his response?
I'd say a B.
Tate Reeves, what do you give to his response?
I'd have to say probably a C.
Okay, what's the difference there?
Well, I think the big difference was, the guidance that you get. And once again, I started seeing, from the state level, I know Mississippi is geographically, you've only got like what I call 10 anomaly counties.
And when you're talking about the population is?
Where the vast majority of the population is.
Why, Issaquena probably has some great people there.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of people.
All 2,000
All
of them.
2,000 of people.
And I mean,
No, it's just a reality.
Yeah, but I mean, be proactive where you needed to be proactive, and try to isolate as best you can on the large populations and then work your response down to the smaller counties.
I will say this. And I'll say this for the camera, I hate Tate Reeves personally. I know him personally a little bit. Our paths have crossed. I do not like the man. I would say he's done a better job than Trump. I would give Trump about a C. I was very impressed with Trump at the beginning because I saw him showing a lot of restraint.
Right.
And I was thinking, he's going to lose it. This is his economy, his pet project. He's going to come unglued. And I think when he started talking about, it just going away, I understand some of that's PR.
Yeah.
I understand some of that is marketing.
Yeah.
But, also I think a uniform rationale, I hate to say it, a grander scale of what Tate did. I like the fact that Tate has an equation, it seems. You get this many cases, you got to wear the mask.
Yeah.
You have this ICU closed, you got to wear the mask, or this is closed here. I wish there would have been more of that.
Yeah.
I understand we were lied to about the mask early on because of a resource. I would have came out and said, look, I don't need y'all to rush to them. I would have liked to see more preparation if possible. I would have liked him to instead of threatening the act, take some companies over. The president now. Like I said, I give Tate a B minus. The trip to Spain was idiotic. You took the family to Spain because it was spring break. Right. I thought that sent a horrible message. But since then, I think he's been a solid B. So I would put him better than Trump. I understand a lot of this, you're hoping it wouldn't be that bad. You're looking back at the swine flu. Yeah. You're going back to 1818. Or excuse me, 1918.
Yeah. Spanish flu.
You're looking at that, and you're hoping that it kind of the immunity is better than it is.
Well, the problem with comparison is what are we comparing them to? There's the hard part. What would somebody else have done, or what is
different society now?
But what I'm saying is, how do we stand compared to Germany? How do we stand compared to
England?
Italy?
England just put another month lockdown. Boris came out, the prime minister, and said we need another month lockdown in England. And I think we're because of our warm weather, November, December, we're going to be right back there. Yeah. But I see what you're saying. It's easier for us to criticize here, but how many businesses do we destroy in trying to save people's lives? And you never want to say, well, that sacrificial lamb or the business is more important than life. But there's going to be an infection no matter what we do.
Right.
We're not going to have a 0% gain.
Right.
So to me, the lockdown was to make sure we have hospital resources and supplies. Yeah. So Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning, we wake up. Who's the president? Who's the announced winner?
Wednesday morning, I think Trump.
See, and that's why these two pollsters I'm talking about, especially one, he says, and it was who is the guy who got shot with Reagan and put in a wheelchair? Brady.
Yeah.
I do believe they call it the Brady effect. Because everybody told the pollsters they're voting for Brady or they're voting for the gun law, and they were saying the right things.
Right.
And then he lost.
Yeah.
And it's because no one wanted to say out loud, I'm not voting for the guy who got shot for our country in defense of our president. But he lost because people lie.
Right.
And I'm looking at some of these states like Wisconsin. Wisconsin has like 5.4% African-American votes. So I'm wondering how Black Lives Matter is going to transcend in Wisconsin.
Right.
I'm wondering, I think Biden's going to be the winner. But I do believe it's going to be a lot closer than the current polls are saying, because I do believe a lot of people don't want to be called racist. I don't want to be in that they're telling pollsters, what they want to hear and not what they're going to do. I think when they get behind the poll, but I'm just tired of Trump and he's never stopped campaigning.
Yeah.
And with the Twitter and never stopping campaigning, I would just like someone who'd go away. And I understand what you're saying. There will be more regulation. I'm okay with that to a certain degree, because I right now I would love to see a political party look at the median family, the working class family, and just regulate from there. What is best for the person who's making the median income, not the top, not the bottom.
Yeah. Just
maybe total family $80,000 or something. What can we do for them? I just think our country would be better off. And I think it went back to Clinton selling out the Democratic Party with NAFTA to a certain degree.
NAFTA was a nightmare.
Correct. And I think we just need to go back because I mean, Social Security's running out. I think we've got too many entitlements, but I would like to make more investments in people. And I wasn't a big fan of prison reform because I don't think they did enough. We're going to give you the carrot and the stick.
Right.
If you want to do nothing, you're going to break rocks out here for 60 hours a week.
Right.
But if you want to go to therapy, deal with some of your issues, I think every prison system, and no one wants to hear this, you don't get out of prison until you can live in a house like you're providing,
right,
and can keep a job, or you'll be back in here in 5 years.
Yeah.
And also by doing that, a safe house, or what do you take?
Yeah, sober living house.
Sober living house, a halfway house. By doing that, you're also eliminating the gangs from the prison system.
Right.
Because right now, you have to join a gang for survival.
Right.
But if you have certain levels where, okay, you haven't stabbed anybody, you're not a violent criminal, we're going to put you over here, we're going to put you over here. You can eliminate, oh, wait, are you affiliated? Okay, well, you're not getting promoted.
Right.
Or you get more years, or you're not getting reduced your years. So I think it has to be active. But I see Biden winning. Now, do you see the Supreme Court coming into play?
No, I don't think so. Why should they? It should be handled on
Gore
the state
versus
level.
Bush,
Well,
they shouldn't have.
well, yeah, I guess you're correct. On
Well,
that
yeah,
one.
but I mean,
yeah,
to
it
be
could
fair,
happen.
most studies said that Bush, it was a state court issue.
Right.
And Scalia said equal protection and defaming the presidency or some crap like that.
Yeah. Well,
And-
of course, you lawyers can come up with
Oh,
something.
I know,
like that.
right? Yeah. They wouldn't let us.
I'm
near
sure if
those
somebody's going to
cases.
get a paycheck for it now, there'll probably be several lawsuits.
$500 an hour. They've already built quite a army on both sides.
Then yes, I do see the Supreme
Yeah,
Court. Yes, I stand corrected. Yes, there will be.
Do you see any chance of Mississippi going blue at any time soon?
No,
And why is that?
just the population base.
Okay. Do you have any concerns of Social Security? Disappearing. Disappearing. We're running. We have too many entitlements.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I
mean, you can't be an entitlement country. I mean, I don't understand how anybody qualifies for Social Security that hadn't paid into Social Security. And I can go back, let's just say this affects me quite personally when I
Affects my check.
Let's say I was a former marriage of mine. I couldn't understand.
Oh, okay. She never paid in, but she gets some of yours.
Right.
Okay. No, I understand.
Yeah, they should not get mad. Well, I mean, she's not here.
She's sacrificed.
Yeah,
for
nothing, and she was.
Well, she was married for you, so she sacrificed a lot.
Yeah, apparently, she did. I said that was the claim, actually.
Mental abuse. I understand it.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've seen your abuse on this side.
Yeah.
But but back to what we're talking
Well,
to.
okay. Well, if you come up from Guatemala, how is it that you're entitled to American Social Security?
Okay, let's go to the wall then. Well, you should not be until you paid into an amount.
Correct.
Okay. Let's go back.
I've got nothing against it. I have Hispanic workers, work for me all day, and all these guys are naturalized citizens or,
Visas,
have a
getting
Hispanic,
cars.
visa background, that actually work here, that came here to work and are paying in the system.
Do you think Trump should have built the wall, or do you see that as a waste, a political issue that was just kind of a waste of money?
I'm not sure. I haven't studied the wall. I think, once again, it's, whether you build the wall or not, you're not going to stop 100%. But the point is, security card, and I mean, the wall to me is kind of secondary where it should be. And you said it a while ago. You hire somebody that's illegal, guess who's paying for it there, brother?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be you. You cutting the check. Now, if you want to pay somebody $4 an hour, that's fine. But you're going to pay the restitution. You're going to pay $26 out, plus our court costs, plus the insurance, plus what we should have been paying when we catch you. Howard Industries.
All you need, the chicken processing plants.
Okay.
Now, Mike Hurst finally indicted one of them.
Right.
But everybody who hires an illegal immediately of being found guilty, $50,000 fine, 5-year prison sentence. You will not have another illegal hired.
You're right.
And then to me, it's a little hypocritical for us to blame it all on the illegals when you're like, oh, no, we're going to give them both. It's the drug purchaser and the drug dealer.
Yeah.
Or drug user and the drug dealer. But yeah, I laugh my ass off all the time about that when people are like, oh, well, how evil it is. Well, how about the person who hires them? Because we can all go to a farm right now probably and go get them. But go get everybody. Go get the accountant. Yeah. Go get the owner.
Yeah.
And like I said, to me.
Who's the H&R person that signed you up? I mean,
what social security number are they using?
Yeah.
Or who it's wire fraud and mail fraud for them to pay you under the table. I got asked by someone in the office a couple of weeks ago, well, you can pay me under the table. I was like, nope. Because, I mean, I understand, one, that's money laundering. Two, I've got way too many, I sue way too many people to be doing that stuff. And I've been audited. And, I've been sued by the state auditor over some fees over an AG case. I'm not allowing anybody to find, here's a hammer, hit me in the head with it in a few years. But if Trump loses, how crazy does it get those last 2 months of him just signing orders? And what does he try, in your opinion?
I don't know. I don't know that he would try anything. Once again, I don't think it's going to affect him that much. He's going to say, hey, well, I tried to save it, and, good luck.
His ego won't be able to handle it.
You don't think so?
His ego would not. He became president, in my opinion, because he got torched by Obama at the press correspondence dinner. And, I mean, to me, having an alcoholic father, I think he had a very verbally abusive alcoholic father. I think he's trying to impress dad in what he does. And I think that when he sees an attack, like, oh, hell no. And that's why his name is always out there. And I think that's what he's trying to prove to himself. But I think you've just described Roy Jones Jr. Sports Illustrated wrote a great article about him one day, and it said the only thing that could stop the best fighter in the world is a hug from his father. So I think successful people have that drive.
Right.
And they have those demons. And I think that he will not be able to handle it just because when's the last time he was rejected like that? Now, what does he do? Does he start, killing people in the White House? No, but I think he does some crazy stuff where he's like, trying to pass as much by executive order and doing all that. I think it's an interesting 2 months. Now, if he wins, I think he reins it in his second term. I think he's learned, because one, who's he campaigning? What is he campaigning for?
Right.
So I think it's reined in a little bit just by necessity that you do have 4 more years. And that, you can keep on throwing red meat, but what are you throwing red meat for?
Right.
So, I mean, I think the realities are setting in. I think it finally does get to him. I think it's got, the weight of the office is getting to him now. But do you think really, heart of hearts, he wants another 4 years?
That's a good question. I don't know if I'd like to get hammered every day. I just...
No, I mean, at some point, like you said, you'd like to go away.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, I don't know if the guy goes fishing. I know he goes golfing.
Just not have to have the criticism.
Yeah.
And, and he could go back and do the rallies and raise money for the Republicans for the rest of his life.
Right.
And he's 74. I mean, on average, he's got 4 or 5 more years.
Yeah.
But I was looking at Barack Obama, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, that's who the Democrats really want to elect, Barack Obama. But if you could go back to FDR, where there's no term limits, would Barack Obama want to run again? And I don't think he would. I think he's like, I've done it.
Yeah.
I've got my $100 million. I enjoy being out of spotlight as much as I can.
Yeah.
I just think that job is a complete meat grinder. And, I wouldn't want to know I think Trump would really want it, but there's moments there he's like, man, I just don't need this.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
And, and I think, if he loses that epiphany, if he loses, does he show up for Biden's inauguration? If I said that word correctly.
Yeah, he'd probably, yeah.
I don't think he does.
You don't think?
I think he skips it.
Really?
I think he's the first president to skip it. I think he's like, I've been cheated. I'm done. Whether he means it or not, I think we get a lot of double talk, what he really means and not. But anyway, moving on, sir. Where are we on minutes? We are 50 minutes in. We're going to call it a show. We appreciate you coming in at the last moment. But you do an astounding job at the VFW, sir. If people want to contribute, now your VFW, which one is your chapter?
My post is the Rankin County Post 5048 right there on the Highway 49 South in Florence.
Now, you guys are always having fundraisers and helping. I've been honored to sponsor some dinners.
We did.
Till COVID.
We did at one time, yes.
If people want to donate,
right,
how do they donate?
They can send a letter or call me at 601-665-2708, and I can get them the address, or
if they mail a check,
they can email me at semperfiwedge at Yahoo.
Semperfiwedge at Yahoo.
Always faithful wedge at Yahoo.
Okay. And you guys do gun giveaways?
We do. We raffle. We usually raffle guns. We do at our post. Now we did the. We would lease the building out, for weddings and stuff. And our biggest one was weddings and high school reunions down there.
Okay.
And of course, different posts have different things going on. The Jackson Post, they have actually a dance hall and bar set up. So, they're pretty much, run their own little cantina down there. The same as the Simpson County Post. So it varies from post to post what gets done. So.
Well, everybody out there, I want to thank Bob for coming. Remember, whether it's Bob's VFW post or your local one, remember your veterans. They're why we're free, and we have an opportunity to vote Tuesday. Thank you for the insight, Bob. Hopefully we'll get you back on when we have something a little bit more entertaining to talk. Well, okay, let me stop you here. Do you stream? Are you watching anything streaming?
Yeah.
What are you watching?
I just watched historic stuff. I've been watching a guy, and I've got the Vapor Lock. He's from California.
Okay, hang on. Netflix? Do you have it?
YouTube, yes.
YouTube?
Netflix.
Okay. Have you done YouTube TV yet?
I think I have it.
No, not YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube TV. I cut the cable.
No.
If anybody's cutting the cable, YouTube TV is the way to go. I love it.
Yeah.
Because you get your local channels, but then it's almost like instant streaming. If it's on, you can watch it instantly for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, but YouTube. Okay, you've got Netflix. What are your other streaming channels? You sound like a big YouTube guy.
Tubi. I've got all the different ones. On the smart TV.
Okay.
I've got so many I can't watch them all.
Okay. I've been disappointed on Hulu. I've been disappointed on Disney Plus.
Right.
I've done. I've got Peacock. We were just talking about with one of the techs here. HBO Max comes in free with me on my phone, but then my Roku hates it. So I can't watch HBO Max. I have to watch it off my phone. Peacock's the same way. I have it at the office, but not at home.
Right.
You get so many of them. But right now I'm going Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, but I'll turn those things on and off quick. But Amazon Prime's got a couple. Yeah. I'm doing Eureka on Amazon Prime, but you don't remember what you're all history. Drama, sci-fi.
Well, I can tell you, I tried to break myself of the habit, and I'm getting better now.
Okay.
Because when I was on the fire department, it seemed every time we'd get interested in like a series or something, always, it was always a rule.
The finale.
You're going on a call. So back in the days before you could record it, that used to just irritate the crap out of you because if you,
those things
you
are
remember
gone. Those things are gone.
And I'm catching up on Johnny and Roy now. Can't believe how many people
favorite
they can say.
TV show of all time.
Favorite TV show of all time. Andy Griffith.
Oh, that's a solid pick. Very solid pick. Favorite movie of all time.
The Searchers.
That's a very
John
solid
Wayne.
pick. John, you don't have to tell this redneck who John Wayne is.
It out there for you.
I mean, in case I don't know who John Wayne is, you want me to tell you who Clint Eastwood is next? Favorite singer of all time. This is where you and I are going to disagree.
Singer.
You and I are going to go way off.
Singer.
Band. Favorite singer or band?
Well, I'm torn between Jimmy Buffett and Little Feat.
See, but I have to honor.
Okay.
I have to
Solid
favorite
I'll go with
activity.
Buffett.
I mean, not my cup of.
Favorite hobby?
Yes.
Golf.
Oh,
Even though I'm bad at it.
You lost me. Completely.
Even though I'm bad at it.
Favorite meal?
Favorite meal? Ooh, that would be the wife's fried chicken.
Oh, ain't nothing wrong with fried
Purple
chicken.
hull peas.
Okay.
some cabbage,
Okay.
and some Mexican.
You lost me on
cornbread.
cabbage. Cabbage was the
Mexican
wrong.
cornbread. Oh,
Mexican cornbread and cabbage were wrong answers. I'm just going to
no,
go ahead and say
no,
that right now.
No.
You can't have cornbread with vegetables
I
in
can
it.
swamp that out with a roll now.
Now, a dinner roll, some mashed
swap
potatoes
it
and
out with a roll.
gravy, some carbs. You need a little bit more carbs on those sides. You got the fried chicken right, but if I'm going for, I had a cheat day yesterday because I had a migraine. Raising Cane's at lunch.
Yeah.
Domino's pizza at dinner. I mean, I got.
I had
off the
this
diet.
talk with the wife and several of the family members last year at Thanksgiving,
Okay.
and we've gotten a little bit better. Why do I have to wait for Thanksgiving or Christmas to get deviled eggs?
I'm not a devil's egg fan.
But I mean, it's not just
Okay,
deviled
wait,
eggs.
okay.
It's not just deviled eggs though. It's the sweet potato,
Did
the
you-
little cobbler with the
Yeah.
thing on there that I like for dessert. It's like a meal and a dessert. I don't know how you can go wrong.
Did y'all have Halloween out in Rankin County this year?
Yeah, I had one person stop by the house last night.
What'd you give them?
One kid, a handful of sweet tarts and the little packaged sweet tarts and whatever candy the wife had in the bowl.
Okay. I mean, is it a good trip? Is it a good trip to the Wedgeworth household, or is it one?
It was for that kid.
Okay, because he's the only one. Okay, you pass. I mean, I'll have to give you a B, probably B plus, not an A. The cabbage lost some points.
Oh no.
Oh, man, cabbage ain't a side.
Oh yeah.
Cabbage is something you eat on the way, waiting for. Best steak in the right now. If we're going to get a steak, where are we going? In the metro area, because we ain't driving up
Right
to
around
Greenville.
here,
Yeah,
not including Vicksburg.
not including Vicksburg.
I'm gonna have to go to. I've got the Vapor Lock. Amerigo's.
Man, see, you're losing.
The 20. It's like $25. The Amerigo's is the Tuscan ribeye. It's pretty dead.
You got Kessler Prime. You're skipping. You got. I mean, I'm going.
We're not all. We're not all lawyers,
Oh,
sir. We're not all.
sunshine.
We're not.
I've
We're
been
not all.
saying, you go over to Doe's and get the filet
We're not
right here.
all
Original.
lawyers,
It ain't
huh?
Greenville Doe's, but they close.
Yeah.
They'll get you.
Well, our doe's closed.
I
so-
heard that.
so
That's
that,
tragic. We went
So
over there. And
I
had
mean
some nice
that
days.
that restricted my thought process.
Well, I'm just
on
telling
that,
you, you could. And if, now, I know you're not going to drive over here all the time, but when you're over here, and the great thing about this Doe's, you can wear that shirt that you got right now in there and fit in.
That's a damn good looking
It's
shirt. What are you
really
talking
not,
about?
but it's okay. I mean, if I had to guess with a little Jimmy Buffett the way you're looking, you better thank goodness you're not living in one of your houses, because I don't know if you'll pass. But we're going to wrap it up there. We thank Bob for coming in and pitch hitting. We were stood up by Tony Yarber today. I don't know what happened, but we'll find out. Probably won't reschedule. Not going to lie. But anyway, we're going to invite Bob back. But we will thank y'all, and we'll see y'all next week. Thank you.